certainly don't want to diminish all the talking and conversation, because after the year everyone's been through, we deserve that. But let's get to the formal part of our program, and then we'll have plenty of time after the program to continue to catch up. So welcome, thank you for coming. This is the presentation, first one we've done since 2019, I believe, of the East Longmeadow Public School Educators Hall of Fame. And there's probably no better place, at least during my tenure as superintendent, to sort of regain some of the things that we are used to doing at Mapleshade, because there certainly is no community within the ELPS community, the larger community, than the Mapleshade community, who responds and succeeds in a crisis. And all of you are part of that, so I want to thank you for that. But today we get to honor two Mapleshade alums, so to speak, who have given an incredible amount to ELPS, and we're excited to do so, Wayne Wilson and Elaine Lucci. And I'm going to, say thank you to the ELEA for setting up and coordinating all of this, and I'm going to hand off for a few more opening comments to Mr. Eliel Gonzalez.
Thank you very much, Gordon, and it's great to be at Mapleshade. I think since we had our honorees from Mapleshade, it had to be here at Mapleshade, not somewhere else. Thank you for all the retirees who are here from the Mapleshade family. Welcome back. This has been a long year, and I can't think of a better way to end the year with a good and a good positive note. And so without any further delay, we're going to get to the two presentations. So Mapleshade teacher Jeff Bohanowitz will have the first word. Jeff.
Thank you. It's nice to see everybody, some familiar faces, haven't seen them in a while. Thanks for coming, everybody. Good afternoon, I'm Jeff Bohanowitz. I'm here to announce the induction of Elaine Lucci into the East Longmeadow Public Educators Hall of Fame. Elaine's began her time here in East Longmeadow working in central office, and then came over here to Mapleshade to become our administrative assistant. She was the first person I met when I walked into Mapleshade nearly 20 years ago. I was probably sweating just as much as I am right now, you know. It's kind of crazy. It's almost been 20 years since that day, and she was warm and welcoming just from day one. As I completed my practicum, Elaine was nothing but supportive and helpful, and going way beyond what one might expect from a school's administrative assistant. I continued to sub here on the second half of the year, and was fortunate to be hired as a fifth grade teacher later that summer. Actually, I remember getting a call. I was at summer camp, being an archery instructor at Camp Weber, and I got a phone call on my sweet new LG flip phone, my first phone, and it was Wayne Wilson calling to offer me a job. I believe the date was August 21st. So I had about a week and a half to prepare, and then the floodgates really opened, and then so needless to say, I was a bit of a mess that first year and didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare. I was pretty nervous, but both Wayne and Elaine were always there for me, and I was really lucky to have both of them help me begin my career here in East Longmeadow. At first I thought maybe it was just some sort of special treatment, here's the new guy out of college, sweaty. Maybe it was just her motherly instincts helping me out, but soon I learned that I really wasn't that special, because she really treated everybody as well as me.
But I used to try to find you a date with all the subsections.
She did. There's that motherly instinct always coming out, right?
Hey, how about her?
And I said, no problem. But I tell you, her dedication and concern was the same for everybody that came through those doors. Every student, every staff member, every family member, she showed the same respect to and concern. So Elaine, the Lucci, was an absolute force here at Mapleshade School for years, and couldn't have been more loved and respected. And it's really with great pleasure that we announce her induction to the ELPS Educators Hall of Fame today. She's truly a well-deserving recipient. Luch! The Luch!
Thank you. Oh, so nice. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Elaine. Well deserved.
Thank you.
And you and I go way back.
Yes,
and it's just a pleasure to be here sharing this moment with you. We have a rule that the speakers, like Jeff, have to be current staff members in the East Long Meadow Public Schools. In case they mess up, then we can take disciplinary action. Well, I didn't tell the superintendent, but I waived this rule because this would have happened last year. And our next presenter, our final presenter, is Diana Demetrius, who retired, but we waived that rule. Okay. However, I just want to remind you that we can still take disciplinary action if you go off script. Okay. So.
Since we're now vaccinated, we can go in.
Right. So at this time, I'd like to present retired Maple Shade teacher Diana Demetrius. Is this movable? This. Thanks.
All right, well, first of all, thank you both for making this happen in one of the craziest years ever. Okay. My retirement has been doing nothing but hanging out locally. So when they called and said, you know, we're adjusting a rule and could you speak, I couldn't be more thrilled to help with this endeavor. So good afternoon, and thank you to Maple Shade again for hosting the induction today. To Wayne's family, and there's Carolyn. We're thrilled you shared him with us at Maple Shade. Carolyn, thank you for making sure his shirts and ties were snappy and current. It was
take the mask off.
always a concern of his. For those that may not know Wayne, his office walls were evidence of his love of Maple Shade, family, golf, boating, and the ocean across both his guidance and administrative careers here. I begin this induction with a couple of career victories that Wayne accomplished. Both were actually simple staff recruitment techniques. Victory number one. He made a few extra visits to central office upon signing his contract as Maple Shade's principal. It turns out he was never really dropping off any paperwork. It was actually to recruit Elaine Lucci from the special education office as our secretary.
Sneaky.
Victory number two. Our sister school and Wayne had to choose which building then newly hired guidance counselor Dale Carey would be assigned to. Now, 99% of the rest of this piece is extremely accurate, and it's going to be up to you to figure out by name association what might not be. I will take it to my grave. So, there was a debate. Where was Dale going to be assigned to? The coin flip came from a double-sided heads no tails golf marker Wayne carried. A sleight of hand trick taught to him by none other than Ray Sylvain. Dale was assigned to Maple Shade with Wayne calling heads rather quickly. Knowing the two-headed coin needed to be tossed, called, and pocketed before anyone realized what happened. Along his storied career from a Maple Shade student himself to guidance counselor, then principal, the 1997-98 academic year stirred up some tumultuous currents for the district. Principal then, Fred Lafayette, was recruited into the acting superintendent's position, causing Wayne and Barbara Davis to agree to serve as acting co-principals so that Mountain View would not need to hire a guidance counselor because Wayne shuttled between both buildings back then. That afforded me the opportunity to be their acting head teacher. Oodles of acting on any given day at Maple Shade. And then on a quiet morning, as that year was winding down, the three of us stood in the lobby commiserating. We collectively didn't have enough acting experience amongst us, and yet we pulled it off, agreeing that we would do anything for Maple Shade to make it work for the sake of our students. That was the crux of Wayne's career, to do whatever worked in the best interest of our students. It is how he approached campus each day. In the nomination letters for Wayne, common sentiments included humble, patient, respectful, empathetic, sense of humor, respected and caring. To those I include two of my own, a maple shader and a kind leader. E.M. Kelly once said, the difference between a leader and a boss is a boss says go and a leader says let's go. Wayne would readily roll up his sleeves to facilitate curriculum change or lend a hand for a practical joke. He stepped up to help in any way he could without reservation. He understood the delicate balance it took for an intense staff to land on campus each day and dedicate their expertise to students. Across his administrative tenure, there were times he invested countless hours making decisions about issues that landed on his desk. While serving as the acting head teacher prior to his administrative appointment, I learned that in fact, the toughest decisions took him the longest. His decisions did not always occur at a pace anyone might want. He made decisions quietly and with great insight. It is said that the right decisions, regardless of how tough some might be to make, are grounded in kindness. That is the reason Wayne labored endlessly on the difficult decisions. He was a leader whose kindness was his moral compass. Wayne navigated the ever-changing tides of education with humble pride to lead Mapleshade. He took the helm, leading by example with integrity, respected by students, parents, and staff, while being respectful in return. That moral compass was guided by empathy and anchored to the mooring of kindness. Wayne, you have truly come full circle. From a Mapleshade student to your dream job of principal of this great school. Now, on this Hall of Fame induction day in June, it is my honor and privilege to present Wayne Wilson to all of you as our newest member of the East Longmeadow Educators Hall of Fame.
I'll say a few little things after you. Just a little bit, yeah. Yeah. As you can see, you brought me to tears seeing all of you here. I really appreciate it. I looked at all of you like my family. I woke up every morning and I don't think I ever said, oh, I really don't want to go in there today. And there were days where I'm sure you looked at me and said, you bitch. But I'm really sorry for those days and those times. But I really truly got to know all of you, your families, your husbands, your wives, your kids. We went through a lot together. And believe me, if it wasn't for our son Anthony being at Springfield College, who's now going to be 29, if you're all wondering, I know. If it wasn't getting him that tuition, I would never have walked out that door. Never. I just said, if Kathy wants to leave, I'll come back. I really would come back. They were really the best years I ever had of employment. I truly appreciate all of you, and I love you. And thank you for giving me the time here today. I really appreciate it, and I love you all. And he was an awesome person to be working with for 13 years. I'll never forget that. You're a lucky woman, Carolyn. I agree.
Can I get that in writing?
Just want to remind you, you're live on LCAT.
Well, never mind.
That's why I wanted to remind you.
A few words. A memorial service bulletin. It's in here.
Gosh, mine's not as long as his.
No, someone's funeral card. It's just what we do for excitement when you reach my age. Thank you, all of you. It's certainly great to be here. It's great to be back at Maple Shade School, which has a special place in not only my heart, but from the sounds of a lot of people's hearts. And it's just good to be back here. I had an opportunity to work with some wonderful people, some highly talented educators, support staff, wonderful parents, and of course we serviced a lot of wonderful kids. East Longmeadow has been very good to me. I had the privilege and good fortune of growing up in East Longmeadow as a child. Working in East Longmeadow for 34 years was just the icing on the cake. I really enjoyed it here. East Longmeadow has always had a reputation of having a great school system. I can remember my parents telling me that the reason they moved to East Longmeadow when I was 5 years old was directly because of the schools. And I'm imagining that there are a lot of parents out there making decisions, coming up with the same reasons that my parents came here to town. We have some wonderful staff, wonderful schools. They're well run, well organized. They say that it takes a village to raise a child. And certainly I can't think of a better village in which for a child to grow up in than East Longmeadow. I want to thank the members of the Hall of Fame committee for recognizing me. I must say this totally blew me away. Totally was unexpected. I'm honored. I'm humbled by this induction, and it means a very great deal to me. So I want to thank the committee members for that. Recently, I was sitting down thinking about some of the changes that have taken place in education over the years, and especially the years when I was here. First of all, I'm a little allergic to bees. First of all, it included the increased influence of technology in our teaching and learning. And I can remember back to the opening of our first computer lab here at Maple Shade and other schools across the district. And that was a significant time. It was a major change in the way we were going to do business. I also remember the establishment of business partnerships in town, which increased the community involvement in our schools. And I think this helped everybody. I think it was a good thing for the community. It was good for the businesses. And certainly I believe it was good for the schools. I know Maple Shade benefited in large part from those community business partnerships. These were all important changes. Oh, I should mention there's another one that came along, MCAS. How could I forget MCAS? That was a major change for us. MCAS ushered in a new high stakes assessment, and I should say a high anxiety assessment. But it was a major change, and we dealt with those changes. We had time to plan for those changes. We could see them coming, and like any changes in education, we usually want to take time and plan the changes well before we implement them. However, these were very different from the changes that you folks have dealt with during the past year and a half. The pandemic caused changes that came suddenly and totally changed the way in which you had to deliver education. It made it necessary for all school people, and that's all of you, to make adjustments immediately. It's almost making things happen on the fly. In fact, the image I have in my mind is of an airplane flying while you're still trying to build it. And I can only imagine how difficult that must have been for you. But I applaud all East Longmeadow educators for your yeoman's work you did to make sure that the education of our boys and girls in East Longmeadow continued. There were many heroes during this pandemic, and certainly East Longmeadow teachers and staff and administrators are among those heroes. My hat's off to you. I applaud your efforts, and I'm proud to be associated with you. I thank you for all that you do. I'm really honored by this award. It means a great deal to me, and I miss working with each and every one of you. And may God bless all of you. Thank you.
Oh, We have one more round of applause for our newest inductees. This closes the formal part of our program, but please stay, enjoy some refreshments, and talk. Talk without masks, because you're outside, you're under a tent. Enjoy it. So we haven't been in this type of place in a while. So thank you all for being here today.